Good afternoon, collectors and friends. Welcome to Leighton's Loft, or at least the new reincarnated version of it, with the Globetrotters poster from the Hippodrome in the background.
Yep.
Appreciate you tuning in today, Dennis. Hope everything is going well, James. Appreciate you joining us. What's up, Tim? So we're getting ready for the National here, and along those lines, people are tidying up. Right? They're thinning their own hoard of cards. And speaking of which, we'd like to show off, even though I'm not in the office at the moment, we're going to get some assistance from J5. And we recently pulled off a trade with Brad from our community. And he had, I guess, several cards that were dupes of his, which we're going to share in a minute, that were right up either my alley or Vintage Breaks alley, as far as them being quality vintage cards. Mm-hmm. And then he was looking for a few cards from our eBay store because I think it fit maybe like a Hall of Fame rookie run. Oh, there you go. So those are the two cards. My guess is he added them to his Hall of Fame rookie run, Billy Williams and Luke Appling. And so instead of having layout cash, why don't you show us what he sent in for those cards?
I like the Lucius Appling, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I like the Lucius Appling instead of Luke Appling.
Yeah. What I really appreciated, Lou, and the gang that's out there, if you want to deal with, not just with someone like myself, but folks who are going to be at the National, is be prepared. So not only did he send me the proposal, and, I realized that you have to verify, right? But at a certain point, you kind of know that folks are telling the truth and being honest about the valuation. But he also said what he thought the valuation was. And he said, hey, I think it's in the ballpark, and so I had J5 just glance it over. It looked fine to me. Mm-hmm. He did, and these are the cards that we got in return. So the first one's a 63 Fleer Koufax, 4.5.
Yeah, nice.
68 Topps Pete Rose and SGC 6.
My favorite set, 68.
And then we don't get enough football, so I appreciate that. This is an early Bowman of Otto Graham. And then a Sonny Jurgensen rookie from a very popular 58 Topps football set. That's the second best card in the set as far as rookies. Of course, the key being Jim Brown.
Very nice.
So, yeah, it was a nice group of cards, and I think that he's very happy. We thought it was fair. And if you are interested in us helping you build your collection without shelling out some of your hard-earned cash, just drop me a line right here on social media. You can DM me. Or email me direct, Leighton@justcollect.com, which is what Brad did. And in that case, he not only told me the cards he was interested in, but he took the liberty to let me know what he would trade and also what his valuation was. And that really, let's just say we didn't know each other. That goes a lot to build the confidence of other folks when they're dealing with you. Yep. I was at the National show. Thanks, J5. I was at the Nashville show. They were billing it at this National show in Tennessee this past weekend. And I saw this little, deal go down to the right of me. I'm just picturing in my head, Lou.
Yep.
And the one guy was basically saying, I want to sell. And the other guy was saying, great, I'm buying an X percentage. And everyone was happy. So the issue, he was like, oh, let's ballpark it. And the guy was like, all right, I guess. So they got to like the first couple cards. It seemed to be okay.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, how much is this card? And the guy's like, $200. He's like, no way. The last raw one sold at $450, and this is a 9.5.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you, it doesn't matter if it's vintage, doesn't matter if it's modern, really doesn't matter if it's comic books or toys, meaning vintage toys. But the more prepared you are, and without being obnoxious, if you share that information with your fellow suitor, right? It could be a dealer. Yep. It could be, and I want to talk about that in a minute because I know there's like a lot of talk going on. I want to give my hot take on trade nights and does it hurt the show?
Yep.
So anyway, my 2 cents is just to be prepared, because the more prepared you are, the easier it's going to be to get something done.
Yeah, exactly. I like how he proposed to you cards that he was interested in too, which gave you an idea of how level-headed he was being about it, and just made the deal easy to make.
Yeah, he did, and I appreciated that very much. And speaking of easy deals to make, we made another deal, a sizable proportion, with one of our members of the Vintage Breaks community. His name is Ryan K. Many of you know who he is, but I don't know if you wanted his last name used. So anyway, I wanted to show off some of the highlights of the collection. When I say a collection, I don't know that this is his collection. This just might be 125, 150 graded cards that no longer had a home in his collection.
Right.
And he was really, in essence, thinning his herd of cards that he had there. And as far as, his loss is your gain, well, today's first place prize on the Loft for participation is going to be one of the cards from Ryan's group. So it's a Hall of Famer of Ed Matthews, and it's 1957 Topps. It's graded SGC3. Card really looks X to me. And I want to show this off. First of all, it's affordable for us to give away, right? Let's be honest. But second of all, look at this card in a 3. The card looks just as good as I've seen cards in a 5.
I know, right?
As much of our community's remarked, it really does look great in the SGC black border against that white border 57 Topps card.
Beautiful, yeah. I like the black border.
Yeah, so that's going to be first place, Lou, in today's Leighton's Loft. Second place will be a 1969 Topps baseball separate spot. And third place will be a BAM spot.
I'm sorry, what was second place again?
Second place was a 1969 Topps baseball separate spot.
Okay.
Third place was a BAM spot in a big promotion ending on the final day of the National.
Excellent.
So I wanted to show off a few of the highlights from Ryan's collection / stash, because I'm not sure that it's his collection. But nonetheless, we're going to go over them right now. There's about a dozen. And what's great is we, meaning Vintage Breaks and Just Collect, and you'll see we're making a post about this on social media. What's up, Joe? We'll buy Mantles in 3s. We buy Mantles in 8s.
Wouldn't be a show without a mantle. We have mantles every show, it seems like.
Yeah, so 58 Mantle. 58 Mantle All-Star. It's not high grade. It's a 3, but still very desirable. This, to me, was one of the cooler cards in the collection. I don't remember if he got it from us or not, frankly. But it's a 1978 O-Pee-Chee Eddie Murray rookie PSA 9 move. These are really, really tough to find in high grade.
Beautiful. Nice shot for that card, too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, next up is a Nolan Ryan second year.
Nice.
What's up, Daniel? What's going on, Nick? One of my favorites from the 53 Bowman color set, Roy Campanella. What I love about some of these cards is very affordable grades. Maybe not the Murray 9. That's a $1,000 card. But, the Campy's $150. Teddy Ball Game in the 5, 58 Topps, #1 card in the set. It's a little bit better than $100, but still, it's a really good card.
Ted always looks older than he is. I don't know what it is.
I know. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
All right. Here is a very popular card from the 59 Topps set when Mantle hit its 42nd home run.
Nice. Love that.
Last card of Mantle's career. Many of you have heard me talk about this across a variety of different social media platforms. Maybe not the best shot, but I enjoy it. However, I do enjoy, as both a little kid and a big kid, being able to look at a little encyclopedia of Mantle stats all in one little neat place.
Yep. Nice. Just the encapsulation of the career.
59 Topps Mantle All-Star. Once again, these are all from Ryan K's batch that we just purchased from him. And it was a combination of cash and break credit in case people want to know the behind the scenes, right? It's never straightforward. Here is the crown jewel of what we purchased from him. It's a really nice 1968 Topps Nolan Ryan rookie in a PSA 7.
Love that card.
So do I. And for good measure, just because I wanted to show up, a 1956 Topps Jackie Robinson, and Jackie's in the collection. That is his last regular issue Topps card, and that is included in this little batch we bought from Ryan.
Beautiful.
So, Ryan, thanks again. And, of course, the community thanks you because today you have a chance to win one of the cards from Ryan's batch that we bought. What's up, Brett? A 57 Topps. Nice card for the grade. Eddie Matthews, SGC 3.
That's a Ryan rookie. Rudy. It's a Ryan Rudy.
So, just because we had touched upon it before, I thought this was interesting. I'm curious what everyone thinks. I'm going to give my opinion. It's my own hot take. Doesn't mean that I have any more insight than you. I just wanted to give you one humble man's opinion that will be an exhibitor at the National for every year since whenever it was last in Atlanta, which I think was like 98 or 99. So, I mean, that's much of my every life, adult, child, kid life, whatever you want to call it. So, gang and Lou, I'm sure you know, in recent years, especially the last one or two, trade nights, not just at the National, but in general, become very popular offshoots of conventions that are happening. So in other words, let's say a convention takes place Friday to Sunday.
Yep.
Well, maybe on that Saturday night, maybe even on that Friday night, depending on which convention, they're going to have a after hours trade night. And for those watching, some people may not know, what a trade night is. So trade nights at conventions typically will take place after the convention's over. And it's more of a, almost call it like an open swap meet where you're meeting in like the ballroom of a hotel, the bar of a restaurant at the hotel, or something to that equivalent. And, some people go with just money. A lot of people bring like a little case of cards, whether it be they're trading, they're buying, they're selling. And it's become fairly popular for a number of reasons. Number one, right, there's no price of entry. So, there's no price of admission, whereas the actual card show itself, right, that costs money to get into. And I don't think a lot of folks are just going to trade night and they're avoiding the card show. But nonetheless, I'm just trying to, for full disclosure, give the information loose so that folks can decide for themselves what they think when I pose the question. So, the next thing is some folks have said that depending on where these trade nights are held, if they're not done formally, that they could actually be a nuisance to the particular place, like the hotel. In other words, the hotel last year, 2 years ago's National was run over by hundreds of people trying to make their own impromptu trade night.
Yep.
Once again, I'm not advocating for or against. I'm just merely reporting the facts as they are, Jack. And the other thing that I wanted to point out, only because I feel like, hey, my son's 8, right? So fast forward a year or two, I don't think he'd be there on his own because of his HI, meaning his medical condition. But let's just say he was. I want people to understand safety, because people probably don't think about this. When you go to a convention, a lot of people ask me this, Lou. Hey, how do you know you're not going to get robbed? By the way, you don't know this, okay? Just to be clear.
You never know.
But there's absolutely security guards that are paid for by the National Sports Collectors Convention, by, I'm sure, the Rosemont. And the reason why I'm bringing it up, I don't believe that those are going to protect you and nothing bad's going to happen.
Right.
I'm only bringing it up for full disclosure. The reason why I say this is from what I've seen, especially the impromptu trade nights, or just even call them my planned trade nights, right? We had a little Vintage Breaks dinner a couple of years ago. We didn't have any security. I don't think it was necessary, but if I was having a trade night, this is why I bring it up, where there's going to be potentially hundreds of people coming in with an average of 20 cards apiece. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not potentially a couple $1 million of cards, depending on what people have. To me, as a dealer, as a patron, as a collector, as, a friend of the hobby, and I want to look out for people, I would find it a little unsettling that there's no security in these places, right? Imagine Lou, I'm not trying to be funny. You blow your nose. Yep. You set your thing down for a minute, you blow your nose and you're by yourself, and you look up, right? There's no security, and you yell help and people are like, why? What do you need help with, a trade?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Now I'm going to pose the question, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents. Do you think that trade nights surrounding big conventions like, for example, the National, are good or bad? And the reason why I pose it with all the information I gave you prior is because there are, I wouldn't say many, but there's definitely a number of dealers who feel that they're being shortchanged because people are not paying the rent of the booth. Yep. They're not having to exhibit to the rules of the convention, blah, 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 and blah, 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 right? And then there's other people who believe that even though that's the case, it's still really good for the hobby, and, blah, 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 and blah, blah. So I wanted to give my 2 cents, but I wanted to comment specifically about what I've heard is the most controversial, I guess, if you will, view of these trade nights. And it's that it's unfair to dealers because they pay to be at the convention. I don't agree.
I don't.
I
Well,
think,
if the convention is putting on the trade night, in other words, if they're advertising, they're trying to pull people in and picking the site and things like that, I understand their objection. Otherwise, I'm a free market guy. If a couple of people going to the convention want to get together and do some trades, that's really not the convention's responsibility, I wouldn't think.
well, I believe what they're suggesting is that the dealers that are upset about this are saying, hey, this commerce should be happening at the convention, it should be happening with us. Here's the thing. You can't force
No.
free, commerce. I mean, free capital. People are able to do what they want in our society. So I understand you can have rules.
Yep.
But I think it's really cutting your nose to spite your face when you're talking about anyone from Crosby's age of 8 years old to, let's be honest, 88 years old, could be in this room for so many reasons, right? We're so quick to judge. I'll be honest, I'm getting older. I don't know if I'm going to be walking the 35.7 miles I walked a few years ago at the convention. What I'm suggesting is maybe for some folks, going to a trade night, it's physically a lot less demanding than having to go to the convention. And I equate it to this, right? If a bunch of us are attending a concert and we decide to all go to the diner afterwards, that's an activity we do together. Do we owe the concert money for food because we didn't buy our food at the concert? Would the concert prefer us to buy the food there? Yes. The concert doesn't think we're not going to eat the concert venue at some point. So my point is, let's not get cute. If folks want to trade and interact with each other, that's better for the hobby. Don't think you're going to stop it, is my point. And I don't think you need to tax them. I don't think you need to do anything else other than to have some sort of decorum, order, and security. Because I couldn't imagine, right? My son calling me and saying, Daddy, I had a $100 card stolen from me. And even though in your own mind you can replace it, that's traumatic for a lot of people. It's traumatic for a lot of adults as well.
Yep.
So be safe if you're going to the National. From at least this dealer and this vet's opinion, I think go to as many of these trade nights events as you can. I already booked. I'm going to a dinner on Friday. I'm going to a thing on Thursday. I'm having lunch, I think, with Jim Ector in like mid to late afternoon on Wednesday. When we say lunch, I don't know how much lunch versus drinking there's going to be going on because Gibson's across the street. But nonetheless, we're looking forward to it.
I mean, again, I'm a free market type of guy. Again, unless the convention itself is putting this together and taking business away from the people who are clients of theirs, that would be an objection for me if I were a dealer, if my convention was setting up these trade nights after hours and taking some business away. But otherwise, it's free market system for me. And, caveat emptor, buyer beware. Beware of security. Beware of what you're bringing in. Be careful with your stuff, who you're dealing with. It's just, the rules going in, right? I mean, just be careful. Don't be stupid.
Yeah. So let me know in the comments. What does the community think?
People in the show spend money. Yes. And I would think it'd be good. I think these ad hoc trade nights would be good for the convention as a whole, because it's just another attraction for people who are into cards and like doing this sort of thing.
I think it brings liquidity to people that, once again, if you've been to the National in the last couple of years, here we go. Bill Zeltner says, it reminds me of the farmer's market that is in the same Infinity supermarket that pays rent. Sure. And at the end of the day, if you think the farmer's market doesn't have the good value or the good product that you need, then you go to the supermarket. But at the end of the day, I know at least for the farmer's market in Hoboken, they may not pay rent, but they have to go out and get the proper, things that are, forms, signed to be able to exhibit there and hold it. And by the way, I think there is rent. The vendors pay to be there. But nonetheless, I just feel like it's really a big money grab and a big one at that, like a long grasp is what I'm saying, to try to, I don't know why I keep coming back to age, but I think it's so vital. Like I couldn't imagine, I called it parking lot deals back in the day, right? I would have sold a card or a group of cards to someone when I was 14 or 16 years old. Do they have privy to me because it was in the parking lot of the convention? I mean, I guess they could.
Yeah.
But
no, it's just I don't know, just a little bit of an overreaction. Again, like I said, unless the convention is doing this somehow, and then that kind of undermines their relationship with their vendors. But other than that, I don't see any objections.
Yeah.
If I'm the hotel and there's a couple hundred people in my lobby that I didn't intend to be there, that might be a problem for me, though.
Yeah, and to be fair, right, that's like with the particular hotel. You got to talk to the hotel and say, hey, I'm uncomfortable as a patron of your hotel, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, listen, right, if you want to go to the National and you're seeking, like, law and order and perfection and everything being in nice and neat piles and pockets, I mean, it's mayhem in a good way.
Yep.
It's card collecting mayhem at its finest. It's the World Series of baseball card conventions, and you should enjoy it in all its glory.
And by the way, all these vendors are paying rent with 100 other vendors around them. So there's competition there as well. I mean, this is an open market. This is what the convention's supposed to be, right?
Absolutely. So speaking of the National, something I didn't consider the other day, but I heard someone talking in Tennessee. My ears perked up. They were talking about Bobby Chin's, which is one of the big popular seafood restaurants there, not that far from the Rosemont, and getting reservations and stuff. Point is, the week's going to be crazy. You'll definitely have the ability to eat at wonderful places, but if you try to eat, because we experienced this a couple of years ago, if you're trying to go out to eat for your team dinner on Saturday night of the National at 8:00 and you haven't made a reservation and you have 16 people, like, you're going to have a really difficult time.
Oh, come on, common sense. If you need seating for 16 people, you got to get it in advance, man.
Fair enough, Lou.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I remind everyone of our big event for Vintage Breaks that's concluding on the Sunday of the National. You can find all the details at event.vintagebreaks.com. We're giving away a 1952, Bowman, Mickey Mantle SGC 4, which is Mickey's second Bowman card ever issued. We're hoping, and it's looking good, we're down to about 44 spots left in our 1933 Gaudy set break. And if we close it out by Saturday of the National, we'll be giving out a bonus T206 Ty Cobb SGC2 for selling it out. And of course, we'll be trying to break it either that final Sunday of the National, or if it sells out prior, we'll do it then as well. And I know Fanatics Live is out for those of you who are paying attention during the All-Star game, the Home Run Derby, which of course, kudos to MLB. I mean, really, it was unbelievable entertainment. I thought, at least, Lou.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah.
And Fanatics Live rolled out their app from the All-Star game on the field before Home Run Derby festivities on the field. It was amazing. So shout out to the Fanatics Live team for doing that. And we are excited. We've been invited to participate with Fanatics Live on their rollout of the app at the National. So our big pack, which will be showing off very soon, I'm just waiting for a word to see if we're going to be doing something in conjunction formally as far as marketing efforts with Fanatics. We're going to be ripping open a 1967 Topps second series baseball rack pack. It is otherwise affectionately known as the Mickey Mantle series.
Any free birthday credits? Donna's birthday. Your birthday was a while ago, Donna.
So very excited about the 1967 Topps rack pack. We believe we're going to be offering that as our first break on the Fanatics Live app. So, of course, stay tuned for details there. And I wanted to remind everyone from the Vintage Breaks and Just Collect community, or for anyone else who's watching the show, it's not too late to get a deal done with me, a trade, as you saw with Brad, a buy that we did with Ryan, or you could get all break credit if you want. If you have a bunch of ungraded cards sitting around that are 50 cents, $3 cards, but you think that we might enjoy them or our community might enjoy them, hit us up. We're happy to try to do a trade or a swap with you for some break credit or for good old-fashioned cash. Please let us know. Email me directly, Leighton@justcollect.com, or you can always email sam@vintagebreaks.com.
Yeah, thin the hood and get some liquidity, right? For the National coming up.
Absolutely. So just wanted to remind everyone, this is the card up for grabs today. So if you haven't said hi, do so in the next 60 seconds or so, as we are about to wrap up this edition of Leighton's Loft. So, Lou, you gave us your opinion on trade nights. Is there anyone out there in the community that, and once again, we're not judging, we're just curious, where you really feel for the dealer, where you really feel like the dealer has, reason or rationale as to banning these from, either the premises or the surrounding premises during that respective convention?
Yeah, anyone on that side. And again, I would have a problem with it if the convention were doing it, but free enterprise is free enterprise. Whoever's collecting out there, because they're at the National, I think it helps the National in general. I think it helps the dealers.
I agree with you, folks. I think it's going to be a good one. Please hit me up looking to do. No, we buy modern as well, Mike. It's just, it's hard for me to say anything else other than vintage. We do buy modern, but by modern, we're buying, the LeBrons, the Bradys. And if we buy like 2019 basketball, it tends to be like the cheaper cards that we can use for giveaways, so on and so forth. But if you have any questions, Mike, please, like I said, drop me a line or send me a DM. I'll be happy to help you. And on that note, thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in today to Leighton's Loft. Trading Card Therapy is back tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks, everybody.